I'm going to have to call us to order.
Yes.
We're to order.
I'm gonna just let you go to town, Greg.
You gonna let me go to town?
Go to town.
You got your flak jacket on?
I don't need it.
All right. So, back 5 years ago when we started designing this project, we got together and we decided, let's work together on this. We were totally supportive of it. We wanted this to happen. We did plans. We foresaw a drainage problem right there. And Stevens & Associates put it on our site plan, which we were trying to coordinate with the state and the town to get our site plans to kind of match up so we all know what we're doing and go forward. So that drain, due to a series of lacks of communication between Corey at the state level, and
Corey, our engineer, RSG.
and Stevens Associated on our side. That thing, nobody wanted to address that, and nobody did address it. So we have a drainage problem. And we have a dam essentially there. So we're all been trying to figure out how we can move forward, splitting the difference and figuring out how to move forward. And also, we never imagined the elevation that sidewalk would be like that. It never occurred to us that it would be so high up. And I still don't understand the reason for it, but there it is. And so we need to modify our site plan to accommodate what the town and the state have constructed. And I just got a proposal from Stevens & Associates just for about $15,000 just for the engineering part to figure out how to reconfigure our site to build to you guys. That's just for the engineering. So
And
we're going to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to this. I wanted to do some, obviously, I wanted to do some rearranging here, but I just can't, I just didn't foresee that we'd be where we are now. We did everything, I thought, Cynthia and I did everything we could to try to keep ahead of the ball, and here we are. So that drain became a last minute item, and the state said, no, you can't tie into the state system. And they're saying, well, I got concrete coming in at 9 o'clock, and it's really hard to negotiate with the state on that kind of a timeline. So what we've done is essentially we've drawn a line down the middle here, and that drainage out there is going to be the state's problem, and this drainage in here is going to be my problem. And we're trying to figure out how to deal with it, and we're having a hard time. And I know that this is an important issue for Soundview, because all of their product comes up Water Street, as far as I know. And that's so we're talking, I don't know how many jobs you got down there?
What, at the mill? We were 60 employees.
Yeah,
120 with both facilities.
Yeah, and we've got about 30 in this building. And we're just trying to, I think this is important to the town. We need to pay attention to this and try to figure out how we can take care of this drainage problem, and so we can all continue on our businesses. But I thought it'd be good if you guys could just see it firsthand. I know you've probably been up here kicking around and whatnot.
Probably not
Right.
this close
Looked
of a
out,
look
so I've
at
been
it.
sneaking around a few times. I've been taking a look at it as they said this. And
Yeah.
So Greg, as it was, this was level out through the road height and it all went down into that drain
There was like
that
a
we have a
swale there.
picture of.
There was like
Yeah.
a swale there,
Yeah,
and it just shot right down.
shot right down here.
it's just several feet outside of,
Yeah.
basically
Outside of the
probably right about where the
sidewalk is.
where the sidewalk is. Yeah.
Take a look at this picture. This will give you a little bit of
Yeah, no, I saw that. I know, no, and that drain is down.
The thing I wanted to point out to you guys, and it's probably been pointed out to you before, you see how deep these spaces are going to be? these on-road parking spaces,
Yeah.
that's an error. That's an error on the part of engineering. So there's no need to be this close to our building to begin with. But someone sitting up in Montpelier designing it.
Well, it wasn't,
I think part of the problem
Part of the
was
problem-
when they repaved, the design came before they repaved Route 5.
Right, so
and
the
when
actual-
they repaved Route 5, they set the center line over. I'm not disagreeing with you that the end product
but
is a mistake.
no,
It's
the way I understand it though is that the sidewalk is in the actual location that was on the plan
right.
to begin with.
Right.
So even because they measured from where the old center line was and got over to where so I think that the sidewalk is in the exact same spot it was intended to be. It's just we have more space on the road. So if the center line hadn't changed, that design was meant to be right where it is.
Well, from my perspective,
Yeah.
I gave up property
No, I hear
and
you.
I gave up
Yeah.
something of value
Yeah.
for nothing.
No,
Because
I
now
hear
I've
you.
got
I just
deep spaces out there that aren't needed, and I believe it has to do with it again. That's some sort
Yeah,
of
okay,
an
you're right. I hear
engineer-
what you're saying.
drawing thing. And if that was over further, that would give us more room to deal with the drainage.
Yeah, I hear you.
Uh,
So it wasn't that the design is different, it's just that we did have some more space, we could have pushed it over a little.
It's
was
really
not-
when they repaved 5, they shifted that center line.
I've lived in town for 60 years, and it's been right there all the time I've been here.
What,
That
the
line
center
has not
line?
shifted back and forth.
It shifted 5 feet in some spots.
No, it hasn't.
So in 10 years, that's, I mean, I'm not
Where
an
would it
engineer.
go? Over the bank?
Well, that's what we said.
It hasn't shifted.
Well,
Survey that
but
they
Greg,
had
it
10
has.
years
When
ago.
when they repaved the road, the center line shifted.
They
I mean,
painted
it
it in
doesn't
the
appear
wrong-
that way because
When
it-
was that?
When it
whatever
was
that
it
was,
5
3
years
years?
ago? 4
Yeah.
years
So
ago?
when you look at the guardrail on the other side, and you look at that lane, so the 5 feet must have been on the other side. Where, how
no,
could
the
it have
center
shifted?
line was here, was 5 feet this way, and it shifted.
So you're saying there was 5 feet, or probably 6 or 7 feet
Well,
between that guardrail and the edge of the road?
I don't know if you can still see the spots where they plotted the old center line to measure
Yeah.
out.
I disagree that with the premise there, but anyway. So
That's what they told us when they repaved the road. They told us the line was shifting.
Yeah.
So whether where the line is drawn or whether that was just a survey issue or I don't know, but that's what they said happened. So, and again, I'm not disagreeing that doesn't influence your issue. It's just sort of how we got to that point.
So, ironically, the drain in the back of the building is tied into the SAIT system.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And it has been since time immemorial. So, what we're proposing, the latest proposal, is to put a curb kind of between the sidewalk and our curb there to send the water from the upper parking lot around the back
Over
to that
that
drain.
way. And is that a downhill grade
Oh yeah.
as it is now? You can.
It splits
That'll-
right about there
that'll
where
work.
that sign is.
Yeah.
Some it comes down here, some it goes around.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that one of my times I stopped living here, and
Sorry.
essentially on those lines of somehow
Yeah.
pushing that water around the back.
That's kind of a temporary solution. We'd also
It
like
doesn't help for all the rain that falls. But we had the rain the other day, between there and here, that still is going to be something of an issue. But it must have always been something of somewhat of an issue. I mean, I see that the water was running out and whatnot, but it still seems like between that roof shedding off here and this water, not all of it went flooding down the street. It would ice up or whatever here, particularly.
I mean, I have a hard time believing, given that we have that photograph, that the state doesn't accept the argument or won't, and maybe it'll just be a matter of time that you should be able to tie, or that we should be able to tie into the state system, because that's clearly where the water's been going.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it hasn't, I mean, it missed a lot of it. Yeah, and I think a lot of it did end up
But the
down by
intention
Water
was
Street,
that it was supposed to go in there. And that, maybe that was an engineering mistake, that it didn't catch all of that. But the idea of having that drop basin was to catch the water that was sheeting off here, so it didn't end up on the road.
Well, that was the argument
And
I was using
presumably
with them.
didn't end
that-
up. Right, it may be that we have to wait, we may have to go through the proper channels to allow that to happen, and then figure out how to come to an agreement to make that happen. I mean, it seems to me that if we had a drop basin, in here,
That would
Right.
be really
That-
good idea.
that went out, I mean, where was that supposed to be? Right here?
Where you're pointing.
Yeah. So, if we had that drop basin in place, and a line went down along the edge, essentially following this guy but tied into the state system, that seems like it would make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um,
There may be a way to tie in to the there's a 12-inch
this side of it, right.
Right, the side of it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that you guys will support
So
that.
how
when it
about
comes to that.
my next step will be to call the state again and let's get one of their engineers to come down here, because every time we get our engineers involved, they come up with ideas that the state says no way.
and
So
we
I'd
should
like to
have a-
bypass
Yeah.
our engineers for a few minutes and, have them come down here, look at it and say, look, this is what we're faced with. This is a problem that's being caused down below. That water's ending up in Sackett's Brook, which is one of the things that this whole stormwater permits and this
Right.
whole change is trying to
Is
address.
related to,
So
right.
you tell us what you think the best option is.
By the way, I'm going to have to get a stormwater permit
Yes.
now and go through site plan review of the whole thing like this is a brand new business here.
Why is that?
That's because of the whole new discharge rules. Well, I mean, you probably would anyways to tie into a drainage. Any type of site work you do, no matter if this was doing it or if he was doing it, you'd have to get a permit.
So presumably, this drop basin was on the drawing that went to the state, that the
No.
state,
It was on Greg's drawing from
That
Stevens and
went to the state.
Associates.
That went to the state.
that went to the
It only
state.
went to Corey, our engineer.
Right.
He drew plans that didn't include it. His engineer approved those plans, sent an email back to me and said, okay, I looked at it, they're fine. He didn't see that it wasn't on there. I mean, Greg and I are relying on them to put everything on and work it out.
Right.
Then it goes to the state. So I don't think the state ever saw your plan because Corey's not the state.
I thought he was working for the state.
No, he works for us. He's our design engineer, and then whatever he does goes up there, and they comment back, and he fixes what they say. And yeah, it would be great if we could have state engineers just to begin with, which apparently that's what the state of New Hampshire does.
Well, it's too bad we didn't have the state, we didn't have this on the plan that went to the state.
Yeah.
So,
I totally agree. That's why I said, I have a letter here that I sent to Greg today. I mean, him and I were both relying on engineers to
Right.
pick that up, and I know better now.
Isn't the onus on them?
Well, it's possible, but that's a whole different
What was that,
argument.
I would think the onus would be on the engineer. I mean, that's what we are paying for.
certainly a significant portion, yeah.
So-
I think, I guess my opinion would be, but I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, that I agree with you, that RSG should take a certain amount of responsibility because they left it off. Stevens probably should take a certain amount of responsibility because they didn't add it back in or see it. And then, we see where we're at from there. But, and I don't want to make anybody pay for something that they shouldn't pay for, but seems like a glitch on both of their parts, so.
I mean, I think this pipe, this situation right here, last week when they were ready to pour and do everything and then they wanted to shore it up, I had made the decision at that point, no matter what anybody thought, we were putting that in because I didn't want to create a dam there
At
over the
least
weekend.
Did it function in the big storm? It's reasonably?
Well, how big did we get?
You can see. You can see where the water. See this tip line there?
So it's
going in. I think there's only like 4 inches elevation.
Oh, yeah, in the fall, that'll be.
So this is temporary, like this is like a $2,500 temporary.
I mean, my
Waste
feeling
of
at
money.
that point was I would rather at least get some of the water out of here and pay the money we needed to do it than have the water backed up completely into the store. I felt that that was probably,
Yeah. I think that was smart. And then we have the matter of the ramp here. You've probably seen the correspondence
Yeah.
today on that. I think that's pretty well figured out.
yeah. I mean, that's just gonna be up to the board and you to decide, what was it, $661 was the estimate?
I'm sorry, this here, this little spot?
Again, a temporary measure to connect the entrance to the sidewalk. Because I'm going to have to take everything out of here and redesign the whole front. So we're just trying to get through the season here as best we can. So now that water discharges right down here. Continues its risk almost looking around. And it's going to stay on this
It's gonna
side
be
of
able
the
to come
parking
down
lot.
here.
The only place it can go is Water Street. It's about a 8-inch pipe.
And where is that drop basin? The state drop basin? Yeah.
Yeah. There's one here and there's one down there.
Hey Scott, you might as well get in your truck again and drive down.
So what's supposed to happen with this?
No,
Okay.
it's just, I mean, the water, the theory.
It'll be repaved.
Yeah, it's gonna be repaved and-
Fits with the roof on there.
And this is the end of the line as far as, this doesn't continue up that way, is that correct?
That's my,
And, but Greg, you think your 12-inch comes into this guy? Oh, it does? Okay. I don't know about you, Greg, but I would hesitate to buckle any of this up until we knew. I mean, it seems to make sense that a 12-inch, you know, if we could put that basin in and put a 12-inch down through here to feed into that one we have down there, that would be the least disruptive to everything. But
You
I know.
can't direct the water to that without them approving it.
I know. No, I'm just saying, if we can get them, I'm concerned if we're gonna pave and do concrete
I
and apron
understand
up there,
that. So
et
tonight you
cetera.
guys need to make a decision whether you want to issue a stop work order or not. That's been the problem right along. You got to stop the work.
Right.
We can't bring people here
And then tell them they can't do it.
they can't
Right.
do it. It
Right.
would be better to just tell them to stop. And I mean, obviously, that's up to you guys, and I get the implications of all of it. It's just you have to know what the reality is of stopping the work.
Right.
I think we can continue on here. It's just what I'm looking for is hopefully is your support and trying to find a more permanent solution to this. And I don't want your money. I want your support. I know I've got to go to the planning commission, and you guys aren't the planning commission, but what I need is hopefully to help. And also, we're even if we can tie into that, we're still going to have water from this area. It's not going to have anywhere to go except for Water Street. So,
Which has been the case all along, except it headed to the drain down there.
It did. I don't see it every day, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I was told that you guys have been wanting to get that road fixed for a long time because there's such a problem
Oh, yeah.
with water in it. we may be contributing to it by putting the sidewalk in, but it certainly
there
is
may
not
be
a
a different
huge issue.
right, and there may be a
So-
different issue that we have to deal with down there.
Yeah, so although I understand that this is causing, maybe, I don't know if it's more of an issue, to be honest with you, but it's an issue that we need to resolve. But it's not the total contributing factor. That's always been a problem. So, because these guys have been looking for a solution for that
Right,
for years,
yeah.
and getting estimates to try to get it paved and some different stuff.
It's a town road, right?
It is, and I talked to Brian about it today, and he went down there, and, you know, if conditions stay the same here, his suggestion was to have it paved, put a swale on the side, and get it to drain off that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's an expensive proposition, but it would be something that would solve it.
I mean, the only thing we noticed out of the last storm was it was significant.
Yeah, I mean, you have to admit that
But
we
I
did
don't
have a
know-
4-inch rainstorm
Well,
too,
yeah,
so.
take that aside, but we
Yeah.
had 4-inch rainstorms before,
Yeah.
and we didn't have the water problem we had.
Yeah, but we don't have them often, but not that we don't have them.
Correct. But, you know, but these weren't working, so I'm willing to allow that
Right,
to
give it a chance to see
Yeah.
what
succeed.
happens.
Yeah.
But if these aren't gonna catch it, then we gotta
Figure out
we've compounded
something
our problem down there also.
That doesn't look good. Whoops. Took a picture of it. Oh, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, so so I guess in some respects that question of a stop work order is more related to your side of this, Greg, than it is to the state or the town side, in that if this goes ahead and gets paved, and then the solution is to cut this out so that we can tie into that drain, and I'm not saying we
Yeah.
can, but, you know, my hope would be that the state would understand the logic of the fact that there's two drop basins that were the two low points, and that's where the water's been going. We should be able to tie into it. That doesn't mean we can. But I hate to pave this and do your work on this side and then have to cut it up again. So it's just, I guess, and I don't know, it would be a question for those guys, whether it's practical for them to keep going and get all that buttoned up and leave this as it is until we can figure that out. Because I just, you know, I think that potentially is less expensive and less disruptive to you if we don't have to monkey with it again.
My gut is that we ought to get them done and out. And if they want to if they want to pave that, it's not going to do any harm. You know, we can,
Yeah.
Then we just cut it up and take it out.
and then we'll just figure out what we're going to do after they get out of here. But I don't know.
So
This-
go ahead.
This drain here. You see how little elevation there is between
Yeah.
the road and the curb there? I'm worried that in the wintertime that could jump right over the curb, you know? But I guess that's going to go down. The placement of this basin. On the drawings, it shows it tucked in here. Somehow ended up out there. And I know they can try to permit and all that stuff. I don't know how much. No one knows how that's going to work until it's not working.
And what's your, this pavement's going to go away ultimately? Is that the idea? It is. Up to roughly the excavator
Yep.
Will
blade
it be
somewhere in
green
there?
space there? Or you don't know?
Probably be drainage of some sort.
Yeah.
probably be a big, probably stone and whatnot. There's another thing that we need to deal with here. See that test well there? We got petroleum.
Yeah.
You know, this used to be a garage here, Packard dealership.
Is there an
Back in the 30s. That's hot too.
So was the idea of tying into that pipe that goes across the Route 5, is that completely abandoned?
Your big
Yes.
culvert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I won't
that,
talk about
and that's
it.
you just don't want to do that.
It doesn't seem feasible.
It's not practical.
I mean, everything's on the table. But
Yeah.
No, I know. I just
don't
didn't.
think it's practical.
There's been so many ideas tossed around, and I'm not sure who said yes to what and who. Yeah.
And Greg, that drain that comes out of your basement for your water storage down there, does
Yeah.
that tie into the system as well?
It does.
It does. So one
That's
possibility.
no longer in use.
But you could potentially come across and tie into that.
That's
wherever
just
that
a
comes
4-inch.
in. Oh, it is. Oh.
So, does that me calling the state and find out if we can get a couple people down here? Not from district, not from. I'm talking.
I wouldn't call anybody yet.
I just want them to tell me what they would do. If you were us, what would you do? But I'll wait for you to tell me when it's okay to do that.
They'll say that Basketville and Putney Pig will worry about it.
Right, but I'll just tell them that we're all worrying about it. So we want them to.
Well, maybe.
I mean, it can't hurt to try.
Yeah.
I want to understand more about. There's got to be exceptions to every.
Yeah.
If there's not another alternative that works better. I don't know. That's just my common sense thinking, but.
I think we'll have to design some sort of a water retention situation down here, and with probably a, what do they call it, a weir or something, where
Yeah.
it releases it slowly or whatever. But I still think it's gonna end up down there one way or another. It's just terrible.
We've come through and backfilled all that washout.
Okay, so are you going to come back to the meeting, or are you?
No, I think I've had my piece.
Okay.
You want to take these and give them these are their ideas and whatever. Unless you want me to come.
No, I think I'm going to talk to them about that letter that I sent you about the cost of the pipe. And then they can revise it to maybe say that we'll revisit the drainage issue and do what we can to support I'm not talking.
I'm here. I might as well come down.
Okay.
And I will just suggest that we adjust the agenda for approval of the minutes until we're concluding our business with Greg. Since he's here. And
So I think
Further,
the only thing that's maybe new to the conversation that we didn't talk about up there was I did send Greg a letter today just as kind of, let's start the conversation about that extra money that's coming up that won't be part of the project. So right now, the two things that are on the table are the pipe that we put in for the drainage that you just saw, and then the other section of the walkway up to the door that we were talking about that's going to get paved. Is it paved? I didn't even look at the thing yet.
Poured concrete.
Concrete. So what I had suggested today was that I feel like the pipe that we put in, and like I told you guys up there today, I had made the decision that the pipe was going to go in because I was really concerned. They had told me they were going to completely block it because they needed to shore up the concrete before they left for the weekend, and I was concerned it was gonna rain, and I was like, look, if we can't come to a decision today, we need to put it in, because at least that's something. In the meantime, it kind of all got worked out between them and us, but I had suggested in this letter that we pay for the cost of that pipe being installed, and that basically from that point on, that the drainage, whatever the new proposal was that he was working on with Stevens, that would
Work through it as we go.
well, no, in here I had said that it would not be a cost to the town or the project, but that's certainly something, and like I said in here, that's up to the discretion of you guys, if you wanna say that we'll work on it later. It's totally up to you. I just wanted to start somewhere, knowing who was paying for what, at least for these two items. So this was the pipe, and then the $661 came a little later. That was an email that we got this afternoon. That was the estimate. I don't think I gave you a copy of that.
Paid for that apron.
You mean the one from Brooks?
No.
Oh, no.
No, that was the email I got back from the governor's office when I tried to call them and push them to do something to allow them to connect to the drainage. No, this is for, it's to repair 8 lineal feet of entrance walk matched to the 6.5 foot wide walkway. And then they revise some quantities, and it's to get that concrete back and get that ramp and door open, and that was $661, and we haven't talked about that cost yet. But we need to tell them to go ahead and do it. Or not, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Something's gotta be
that's
done.
the kind of thing that I was referring to as, I hate to see that get done and then cut up in 3 weeks, but, maybe that's just the cost of doing it. But I guess I would rather have, before we start finalizing things, and again, this is somewhat up to Greg because it's his business and I don't want to interfere with business at all, obviously. If we pour concrete there and then we're putting another pipe in, or we're putting a bigger pipe or something like that.
I think it's about
We're
getting people in that door for you
tearing it in and
right
out.
now, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah, I mean, I think right now they don't even have access to that front door if they need it. Yeah.
Then I guess we go.
I mean, this
If
was-
they
this
can't
was
wait,
some-
they can't wait.
Yeah, this was something that came from, they wanted to know what we had found out about this, so this came up today, because I think they wanted, right today they didn't have access to that front door at all.
It sounds like it's becoming a thing about the money, and I'll just say that from my point of view, this is really inconsequential. This is such a small amount of money. This is to get us through the summer. There's gonna be big money coming later.
Yeah.
There's gonna be big money coming later, and there's gonna be a lot of problems that we're gonna have to overcome to get everything done, but
From my perspective, I don't want it to sound like it's all about the money, but I still have to okay something being paid, and I have to figure out where to pay it from.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
that's why I have to just ask you, because we don't have it budgeted, and it's something that you guys have to approve for me to pay. So I don't want it to sound like it is all about the money, or
was
who's gonna.
there nothing in the budget to,
Contingency stuff.
Well, no, because this is outside of the scope of the project, we can't get reimbursed for it. So no. These two
No,
things are outside of the scope.
and my
of the
concern
project.
is not all about the money either.
No.
It's more about having a little bit of a plan, I just, I do this all day, every day for a living, and I hate to fix something and then have to unfix it a week later in order to fix it again and then unfix it, and to me, that is hard to swallow. The money side of it, you're right, $661 is inconsequential in the overall scope of things, but if it's $661 and then $2,000 here and then $4,000 there and then $6,000 there, and then we're digging it all up, then I have a problem with that. So I totally agree with you, and I don't want to interfere with your ability to do business at all. I just think, maybe 4 days of the engineers having a chance to think this through might make sense, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
You're just not gonna get an answer from the state in that
Right.
short of a time frame.
That
That's
was
the
sort
problem.
of my next question was What kind of time frame did Stevens give you to come up with a mitigation plan? Did they have any semblance of a time frame? Again, looking
Yeah.
towards, I mean, I think having that walkway back in there obviously is,
Well, again, I wouldn't be looking to you guys for that anyway. I mean, it's my problem now. I agreed to the sidewalk, such as it is, and so I think the best thing we can do is get this sidewalk done, and then we'll carry on, and hopefully, I'm sure they'll come up with the plan, a stormwater plan, and it will probably involve tying into that storm drain at some point, and that may very well not fly, and we'll have to do something else. I don't know, but I wanted you guys to be up to date on it because I know Cynthia's leaving in
Right.
August, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd like to get with you guys so we all kind of are on the same page.
Yeah, and I would say that, my feeling would be, I'm speaking for myself, not for the whole board, but that, certainly the parts that we bear responsibility for, Greg, I would like us to take responsibility for, whether it's our engineers or however it came to be. I mean, I think I don't want to slough this off on you if you got dumped with something that wasn't figured out properly on our end, then that's our problem as well. So I think it's important that hey, whoever's responsible has to come up with a solution for this. And I think if getting things up and going so that you can keep flowing through the summer while we regroup is the best thing to do, then
And then I think what I'm hearing is
Okay
that
with that,
from this
but-
point on, the support of when you are applying for things and when you're working on this, that there's support there for that.
I'm sure I would get that anyway.
Yeah, I know.
But,
But
in the spirit of neighborly cooperation, why don't we just split it? Your engineers didn't talk with my engineers, but ultimately I'm responsible for my end, and Cynthia's responsible for her end, and why don't we just split it down the middle?
Sure.
So
split this
I-
or anything moving forward?
I don't,
split these two items.
Yeah, okay.
or the 23 and the 660, or
Yeah. That's what I'm
or should we pay the 23 and Greg pays the 660? And I mean, if this was our engineer's mistake, I mean, I guess it was both.
It was both of them,
But
yeah.
so,
It's unforeseen, let's call it an unforeseen circumstance.
yeah, shouldn't have been, but. What's your pleasure, Mr. Chair?
I think that sounds generous of you, Greg, that you would pick up that piece, and I think we should pick up the 2,300.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
So we're paying the 23 and he's
The
doing the
approximate
660.
2385, yeah.
And then
I was offered to pick
It
up.
was
he
offered
was
to pick
paying
up
half of the
both.
whole thing. But,
At that, I guess we really, that's sort of a large, are you talking half of these two amounts?
yes.
Yes, right. Yeah,
So the total would be about $3,000, so we'd pay 15 and Greg would pay
Right.
15. Or we pay the 23 and Greg pays the 660, but.
again.
If Greg is offering to split it, I guess we shouldn't turn it down.
I guess we should, that's right. That's very generous of you.
I mean, I just want to say too that in the meantime, while I am here for and obviously whoever replaces me I'll be getting them up to speed, but if there's something I can do. But I don't want to call somebody and be out of line by doing that. I don't want to go beyond what you're trying to do. So you just let me know what I can do.
Yeah, however we can be helpful to
Yeah.
you, let
I
us
want to be
know.
helpful, but I also don't want to stick my nose in if it doesn't belong.
Very good, thank you.
Hopefully.
They say by next Friday they'll be out of there.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
It'll be raining Friday.
Oh, good.
Next Friday, a week
Maybe
from
we
Friday.
could just
Hopefully,
make
at
it
least
stop
not
raining.
like it rained on
Week from
Tuesday. That's great.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's right.
Okay,
Thank you, Greg.
thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to
Correction to those minutes, do you have
the approval of minutes.
May 31st, that is? And legally, they had to be in a while ago. We have a draft.
The draft is posted, or the May 31st minutes, yeah.
So I have not communicated with Cynthia to correct the May 31st, so I would make a motion that we approve June 21st and June 27th as presented. And we still take a look there.
So repair to be made to May 31st.
21st and 22nd, skip on the 31st.
21st and
Okay.
27th.
Yep, I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded to accept the minutes of June 21st and June 27th as presented. No other changes or questions?
Just one. Put
Yes.
minor
Go
thing,
ahead.
and then that's it.
Spit it up.
Small correction.
Yeah,
Was it a typo or something, or a?
just all together should have been one word, that's all. Just
Oh.
'cause it could have two different meanings, that's all.
All right. With that correction, was that in the minutes of the 27th or the 20th?
21st.
21st. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't know if you want to jump to the fire department stuff, so Tom doesn't have to sit through everything. I mean, he can if he wants to, but.
I try to rule anyways.
All right, well
So
then.
whatever.
Okay, all right.
Well, which are we talking about?
I guess we don't need to if he's gonna stay. I was trying to get him to leave for some reason.
Okay, so the town agent, which is
Carol Westing.
Carol Westing, yes.
Yes, she is resigning from that position. They're moving out of town.
They are?
They are?
Where are they moving to?
Middlebury, I think she said. So she hoped that it would not put us in any undue hardship. I've never called her. But I just wanted to let you guys know that she had resigned, and so that position will be open. We'll be putting that out there. Like I said, I've never utilized the town agent since I've been here. I did put the Vermont law, the definition of town agent to prosecute and defend suits in which the town or town school district is interested, is what they're charged with doing.
Okay, so what is the letter of intent, participation in the RPC-DEC Municipal Roads Grant Aid Pilot?
So there's a copy of it in there. There is a new grant program out to help towns get up to speed with the way that they do storm mitigation, drainage, storm water. And so you have to work on projects that are hydrologically connected roads. And the town of Putney is eligible for $12,500 with a local match of $2,500 for a total of $15,000 for a particular project on one of these roads. We happen to have 36 miles of hydrologically connected roads, and so you had to send in this letter of intent to participate in this program by today. So I went ahead and signed it. I talked to Brian about it. He does want to participate, and I think they have until October of June of 2018 to complete one of the projects.
And just would you define hydrologically connected roads? I mean, I have a suspicion of what I think it must mean, but I just.
Well, they're connected by streams. And,
Right,
yeah, I
that's
know.
a road with a stream
Pretty much.
beside, under,
Associated.
and has it,
Associated, yeah.
and connecting other roads to it, yes. I know.
The Agency of Natural Resource, if you pull up their atlas online, you can actually, identify those roads. And the Regional Planning Commission has maps available as well. So he's gonna pick a project in one of those areas and, get some money for completing that project.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that went out today.
All right. And we are borrowing money for the dump truck?
Yep, so I sent a letter to request rates from Merchants Bank, and, well, Merchants is now Community People's Bank, I think. And People's United, they came back, they had the same exact interest rate, which has never happened before. So I looked back to see who we borrowed from last time, and I picked whoever we didn't borrow from. So, to try to make it fair, because there was no other way to do it. So, it's $175,000, we're borrowing from People's United Bank. The interest rate is 2.35%. The truck, I think, will be delivered at the end of August. So you guys need to sign, and I think Anita marked every page that needed to be. So this front page.
So do
and
we
then
need a motion on this
Yeah.
as well? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the capital equipment note with People's United Bank in the amount of $175,000.
Second. All right, it's been moved in second to approve borrowing from People's United Bank for the this is the purchase of our new dump truck at $175,000 at a rate of 2.3% per annum interest. How about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The tax rate, oops, we're already there.
Yeah. So, I have a Excel spreadsheet in there with the tax rates listed. I'll wait till you're done.
It's just two, correct?
It should be three.
There it is, there it is. Yes, it was just. All right, so
So we have to approve the two. Do we approve them separately?
I think what you've done in the past is done a motion to approve the tax rates, and you've just listed them all separately. So, on the spreadsheet, you'll see, I highlighted each one of them. So the general fund tax rate is going to be set at 0.3953, which is about a 4-cent increase over last year. The highway fund will be set at 0.3123, which is a change of about a penny increase. The local agreement rate, that's the rate that we use to pay for all of the agreements that they still owe education tax, so the town has to pick up that. That rate will be 0.0086, which is a small drop, 0.001. The education rates actually went down. Residential education rate is 1.6436, which is almost a 10-cent decrease. And the non-residential ed rate is 1.418, which is almost, well, it's 3.5-cent decrease. So.
And was that grand list related, or was that?
As far as the education, I
Don't know.
don't know how they, I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you
that's
the
state
formula
on
they
it.
use,
That's
yeah.
right, it's a 1-year drop in the education rate.
Yeah, I
Is
don't-
what I'm recalling,
I don't know.
perusing the.
I wouldn't even venture to try to explain. That's way above my.
Yeah.
The grand list did increase by about 2.3 million, which was pretty significant of an increase.
That's a percent or so.
They did a lot of, they had a lot of properties that were listed as not 100% complete over the years because of, zoning applications, and So they cleared all those up and sent letters to all of them. We had we had a large property that had I can't remember what the number was, but it was a big number for the property, the house that they built. So that was a pretty significant, scared me a little bit. 2.3 million is a lot of to add to a grand list. So, but it was just through their hard work and getting some stuff done and really going out there and looking at stuff. And
Good.
yeah, it didn't really help the town tax rate at all. Not much, because our budget went up. So, kind of. So those are the
So what
tax
does
rates,
these-
Laura.
Put these totals at, let's see, so for non-residential, for residential,
Yeah, I always hesitate to do that calculation for people.
Okay.
And the reason I hesitate is because some people end up with split non-residential and residential if they have business use. So it's a little bit misleading. I mean, we can do it. I just want people to be aware that sometimes they're not just a straight resident or non-resident rate, they have a split.
it's gonna be roughly.
But for your average single home,
Yeah, so
Single family
about
home,
residential,
okay, all right.
1.6436 plus 0.31. Did you happen to look at this, Anita? No.
I'm sorry,
Did you happen to look at this tax?
I just glanced at it.
Okay, so if for residential, regular single family, 2.3598.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the tax rates as presented, including general fund rate of 0.3953, a highway fund rate of 0.3123 for a total of 0.708, a local agreement rate of 0.0086, and the education rates as presented.
Second.
all right. I don't think I'll repeat all of that. You've got all that, Laura? All right, that's good. That we will accept the tax rates as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, paving. Let's see.
My fancy spreadsheet I did. So we received, bids were due back last Friday, and we received 3, and this is for paving on somewhere. Paving will take place on West Hill Road, a total distance of approximately 2.3 miles. And we received 3 bids. Lane construction came in at $116,960. Springfield paving came in at $94,232.50. Vermont Roadworks came in at $106,204.70. So Brian and I are recommending that we accept the bid from Springfield Paving.
And I'll just point out also that although Springfield paving shows a lower tonnage, they also have a lower price per ton overall, so even if their tonnage went up,
It still would
it
stay.
would still be lower than. And what accounts, that's a 100 tons difference, what accounts for that, do we know?
Brian didn't say anything to me about it. He didn't.
I'm assuming those are tons, right? So, I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Springfield Paving in the amount of $94,232.50.
Second.
All right, we're going to move and seconded to accept the bid for paving, Putney roads. Do you want to list those roads again?
It was West Hill.
Okay, West Hill. For the amount of $94,232.50
Yeah.
to Springfield Paving. All in favor?
Ask him about that. So.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 What about the tonnage?
Yeah, why it's just that much
Yeah.
different. That's, 5%.
Just wrong. And the town manager resignation?
I figured I should probably put this on here.
What would you, yes, what are we?
And just wanted to let you know that I did contact, Abby Freeman from the league, and there's an email in there talking about their process. If you were to decide to use the league as someone that would help you do a search for a new manager. She would be the contact person. They would come down here and they would talk to the board and talk about the process and how long they thought it would take and what the cost would be and all of that. I also put in there,
I don't see that.
you don't have it?
Maybe I did. Yeah, no.
So there's that. And then there also should be a notification for an emergency meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Also related to town manager search, and that is Ernie from Newark who wanted to come and talk to you about what he might have to offer. So that's tomorrow at 6. 6. Did I say 4 when I called?
I thought, but maybe I might have put it in wrong.
No, Scott is not gonna be here.
Is that what this is for then?
Yes.
Because you'll have to change. It's Thursday, isn't it? Tomorrow?
Oh, sorry, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You gonna be on the Cape? Where are you gonna be? Do you want to call in? I suggested to Cynthia you might. If you,
I'm, let's see, well,
You need to-
yeah, tomorrow I'll be in Maine, and we're going to see Lindley's brothers are gathering there, and then we're going from there to Ithaca.
so you'll be on the road.
Tomorrow night, I probably will not. I probably could make a call here.
Do you think I said 4 o'clock to you? Do you still have the text message I sent you?
Let's see.
I don't have it. I'm sure it was 6. Yeah, it's 6. So those are the 2 things that I have. That's all I mean, I just figured that I should at least, I think you guys should probably talk about it. Maybe a good idea. You texted me from over there?
Is that,
You said 6.
Okay.
She said 6.
Yeah.
Do you, just from experience, have any knowledge of the service they would provide us?
Well, I've seen them go through some of them. I can't remember what I mean, obviously the cost probably has changed since I remember it. I mean, they do a nationwide search.
Yeah.
You know, I know that they've just finished up with a couple of them, she says in her email. And I don't know who that was. I didn't ask her, but I just wanted to make sure I knew who the contact person was and
Yeah.
what the process was for you guys. And I mean, we can certainly invite them down to the next meeting if that's what you want, or if we want to wait to see what you think. I mean, I think,
Why don't we talk to Ernie tomorrow?
yeah, so that was really all I had. I just wanted to make sure that people knew we were talking about it. Unless you guys have some questions for me or want me to research anything else for you at this point. No.
I would say. I would wait till after we talk to Ernie and see what.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
what
that's
his thinking
right.
is.
There's several different courses to follow. All right. Okay, and was that it for your, did you have?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we'll just, because recycling, I wanted to just talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
So I met with Dan Toomey after the meeting last week, and him and I came up with some language to put on a postcard that will go out in the mail to everybody, talking about where we're at with the recycling. We've had several calls, so that's what this language is on this this handout where it says to Putney residents. We've posted this on the Facebook page, iPutney. Laura, is this on our website? On our website? Well, And it'll go out in the mail soon. Wyndham Solid Waste is gonna do that for us. We've had several calls about it. Haven't had really anybody that's too upset about it. You know, they're just wondering what they do. They did have somebody was down to the fire station the other day, and there was a New York car parked over there, and they just put their bags on the ground.
And did somebody
Yes, they
catch them,
stopped them, yeah.
fortunately?
It wasn't,
Yes.
no, it wasn't him, but,
Isn't that amazing?
so I'm hoping, there was supposed to be some signage put up down there, and I don't think there's any down there now, so I'm gonna call Wyndham Solid Waste about that, but
Have
people
we
are,
cleaned up down there yet? or-
no, well, I don't know, did they go down there this afternoon? They were going to
No.
try. Yeah, it's on their to-do list, I talked to Brian about it today,
So sooner we
yeah,
Get that will.
that's what I said, the
Make it
sooner we
less
make it look like it's
enticing.
not.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
You
but
know-
haven't really had a lot of feedback. I think people are just wondering what they need to do.
I mean, we could actually sort of cone that area off for, just
A little
for a
bit.
while, just to get people used to the
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah, maybe we'll do that tomorrow and then put the sign up that
I
says,
mean, there are, people are obviously, some people will ignore it and some people won't, but it'll help.
Now, the cost for a WSWMD access permit beginning July 1st will be $35, but that's not required in order to
Yes.
place recyclables
yep,
there.
you're gonna have to go through the, they're moving it around. I heard somebody say today that they're reconfiguring it where you will have to drive through, show your permit, and then you can go to the recycling. bin.
Huh, really?
That
That's-
sort of changes the game a
That,
little.
No, I
well,
knew
that's
that right
the
from
direct
the-
opposite
I
of
had known
what
that.
the information Lindley got on, when she went and got a sticker on Saturday. And her question then was, because is it per household or per vehicle?
Uh-huh.
Because I've always had the dump sticker on my truck, and I will continue to do so, as I haul our garbage and whatnot there. But she wanted one so that, she said, well, so I can recycle. And the fellow at the desk there, at that time, said one number per household.
Well, and I'm not saying that that's not true. I don't know how they would check it.
Right,
They're
but
still gonna have
he
to,
did not give any further indication.
on how she would prove it when she got there.
Right, exactly, right, who gets the sticker, do we pass it back and forth,
Well, or the number, I mean, I've
Yeah,
gone in,
no,
because I
yeah.
put it on my truck, but going
Right,
in my
right.
van.
Do you bring your garbage down there?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So you already have, do you already?
I haven't
pay?
in the last year because I go
Oh,
down
okay.
Ferry Road, different.
Yeah,
But I'm surprised that there's a $35 fee for recycling.
I wanna
That
say
has
that
never
back when
been
we-
the case, but
no, you're right, it hasn't, but now they're going to have to pay to have that taken away.
Hmm.
And I wanna say that if I look back in the minutes, we talked about that fee, because they weren't sure what the fee was gonna be. They were having a meeting, and we had the select board meeting prior to their meeting, so I couldn't tell what that fee was gonna be.
yeah, I guess I just never had the
Yeah.
impression that it was for recycling.
The
I mean, I know there's always been a
actually, the
permit fee,
response that
but-
I've gotten from people is, oh, that's not bad, that's a cheap price, that's not, so it really has not, unless you guys have heard something different.
No, I mean, I remember that too, though, but I think the question we had was, does that include taking trash?
Mhm.
And so.
Well, yes, but then you pay for trash as well.
Yeah,
Right,
So
Well,
you
yeah,
get
actually
a
they-
permit, but then you
yeah.
have to
the
pay.
$35 is the
daily.
permit, to go in there and drop off,
Yeah.
and then yes, you have to pay
Right.
for your extra for your
Yeah.
trash, yeah.
3 trash
How long
cans.
was that good for?
A year.
1
So
year.
July 1st to June 30. Yeah.
It's a couple bucks a month.
It's actually 36, there's a dollar processing fee, we found out today. What'd you say?
I said, geez.
That's right, well, you've got an advantage, it'll take a long time to fill out the sand pit there.
So this is going out in a postcard, and like I said, I really haven't had, a lot of questions have come through, but not, I mean, we are telling people that it will be revisited in August, which is what we talked about. So, I mean, I think that they'll be looking for that information, and, but I've also made it clear that that we're not saying they're gonna be there in August. We're going to bring this topic up again in August, because that's when we might have some time to prep a site and,
Okay. I had one email from somebody
Yeah.
stating clearly that they felt
they were not happy.
we needed it.
Yeah,
Their concern being that people will dump on the side of the road, et cetera.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate that concern. I also don't know for sure that those aren't people who are dumping on the side of the road anyway. I'm not sure it's gonna change, sort of
Right.
shift the landscape. I don't know. Hard to say.
I imagine it's gonna be on the postcard itself that WSWMD puts together, but they should put hours that they're open.
Right.
Yeah, I can
Because
tell them,
that's-
I don't know if they were gonna put that on this postcard.
There
I
was
don't know if they've
some
done-
discussion of extending.
They were
hours.
putting on contact information and website information and that, but I
Right.
don't know if they were actually gonna list there.
Or hours may be changing, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
so.
All right. Okay, so we're up to the fire department, I believe.
So in your packet, there's the memo that Tom gave us back in May, talking about the, pay options, what's it called, on-call pay, no, what's it called? Paid on-call. And he outlined in that memo the per hour for the level of, is it training or is it title? I don't know how to say it.
Certifications,
Certifications.
licensure, and rank.
He did give me a memo today, so the original pay scale ranged from $13.50 per hour to $15 per hour. At that time, the focus was solely on existing members and we failed to properly account for new members. So he wants to also have the scale be down to 12, so it'll be a scale from 12 to 15 per hour. Is that, how I explained that right? I know you weren't at the meeting where we
No, I
talked about
talked
this.
to Tom
You have
a
talked
little
about-
bit,
okay. You guys can speak to it, but the sentiment I got in the room that they were in favor of, accepting this proposal and giving it a try, and, at this point right now, starting with the 11,500 that currently exist in the budget. Tom and I have talked about it, about what that means just mechanically and paperwork, and, we're working on kind of that process right now. And this would start July 1st, right? So he's been keeping track of it that way, if you vote on this proposal, starting July 1st, so.
So we're looking at $31,250.
That
In
we would,
addition to what's already
Into,
done.
right, that's,
I think probably what should happen, go a couple months and then let's see where,
What the
what the
implications are.
implications are, yeah, and then, then at that time, there will be another recycling, then we've gotta talk about money, where's the money gonna come from
Yeah.
if we continue to do this,
right.
so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think realistically, all of this is sort of a trial run until town meeting day, presumably, because that's when it'll be up for a bigger discussion.
The other thing we should probably have a conversation about, just to get it cleared up from the get-go, is our staff, our highway people. We have four
Who are on the department?
right now that are on the department, so Tom and I kind of had the discussion of, well, how are we accounting for their time? What's happening now is they're getting paid.
Because on town time.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I guess the question is when I guess what comes to my mind, when they're on town time, obviously they're at the rate of pay that they're at. Are we paying them this rate? Do they continue with their rate? And then after hours, do they drop to this rate? There's this whole kind of gray area. What are your thoughts on it, Tom?
The only, I guess across the board, as far as fairness is concerned, we have a few other folks now who, when they leave, if they're getting paid if they leave work, if they're getting paid at work,
They
how,
stop getting paid at work.
yeah, but how do we, or if they don't, are we gonna not pay them? I don't know, it seems. And then if people say, well, I'm not getting paid when I leave work, how do we know that's
Yeah, I don't think we can
That's-
release that, because
right.
that's really kind of an invasion of privacy, if you ask me, if you're asking people that,
But I also don't think we can pay town employees
both.
twice, yeah.
Oh, I agree.
So whether we stick with their existing rate or they shift to this, I mean, I just think that'd be sort of a logistical nightmare for somebody to keep track of, wouldn't it, or not so much?
Not really. I mean, I guess my original thought is if they're on town time, I mean, and they don't go to every call, I just wanna make it clear
Right.
that they're not leaving
Yeah.
every time
Right.
it goes off, you know, if
Right.
it's a significant
But if you need them,
incident,
you
but
need
if they
them,
need them,
yeah.
they need them.
Yeah,
And if they were to leave right now and that was to happen, they would put in their time on the time card, they'd be getting their pay during the day that they get
Right.
anyways.
right.
So that to me seems like an easy,
The
easy
simplest
transition.
way. Yeah.
It's, and then at night, I guess if they come in for a call in the middle of the night, they get whatever this pay scale is.
Right, and not to throw a wrench in that, but in snowstorm situations or whatnot, you're working overtime and then you have a fire call, so that's.
You would
where-
get yours straight. Oh, well.
Right, no, I mean, we're gonna go that way,
Yeah.
thinking about that, I mean, that's just.
Most likely, if they're in the middle of the snowstorm and they're plowing,
They're not gonna.
I mean,
get-
unless
they're
it's
not
something
gonna-
pretty
Unless
significant,
it's
they're
something-
not.
Something major.
Right, and again,
They're not
that's, you
coming,
know,
so, and we know that, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
And on the very rare occasion that might occur, then I'm sure it's gonna be easily figured out then.
would agree.
And I do know for a fact that the four highway employees have said, just keep it simple. Keep us on our hourly rate from the highway department, and it's no concern.
Certainly, again, for this interim period that we're looking at
Yeah.
this, I think that would probably be appropriate. I mean,
Yeah.
this sounds like something that will take some tweaking as time goes on.
And have them come up with a policy
more.
for it at some point, yeah. So, you don't need we don't need to vote on adding
yeah,
an
I
extra
think you need to
person.
vote, I think you just need to vote on that you
Approve this.
approve this, new mechanism of, and agree to the rates of pay that have been presented.
And what are we funding it with? No, I'm just,
11.5 that we have.
okay.
And then I think you're,
Is the presumption that 11.5 will take us to this down the road date of August, which of course is rapidly approaching? you know,
I would probably put
7
on there
weeks
that you
away.
should have it discussed at the September meeting,
Not the September.
first September meeting.
Okay,
Because then you have 2 months of it,
Right.
and you'll know what path we're, and hopefully by then we'll have some indication if it's making
A
any
difference,
difference
right.
at all.
right, and there's,
I mean, that's really the whole premise behind this, is hoping that it's
Maybe it'll help. Yeah.
help get people to, I don't wanna say help get them to come, it will help ease the burden of coming a little bit, but.
and so that's.
So how do you wanna
So,
word that motion? It's not,
Make a motion that we accept the recommendation for the fire department staffing option as presented, with a wage range from $12 to $15 per hour. Is that all we need? Do we need more than that?
I don't think so. Unless you wanna put that something in there about that timeframe of revisit and,
And,
Right,
yeah, I
we
think
should.
that could just be in the minutes, not necessarily in
Yeah.
the
Okay,
motion.
okay.
All right.
Yeah, I will second that.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded that we are going to support the pay scale for on-call fire response in the range between $12 to $15 per hour, as presented in a memorandum from Tom Goddard on May 22nd. I think we should probably do that, and maybe we should have this accompany that, just so it's clear. favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here, she can have my copy.
Should this be amended though to include the 12?
I have the
Just
memo
attach it,
attached
okay.
that, yeah. So I'll give you 2 memos.
Right. Maybe it could just be printed up and put that line of, calling these folks
Probationary.
probationary. Yeah. All right. That's okay. I hope that helps, Tom.
Thank you. So, for a week,
Yep. And as I say, in September, we will be reviewing and looking at this again. Look at how we funded for the remainder of the year, what goes on there. All right, Cynthia, what do you got for
I
a
don't
town
really,
manager's report?
I don't really have anything. I think that we just talked about the sidewalk enough, probably. I did, I don't know if you guys heard me, but they're talking about hopefully having it done by next Friday. The engineer didn't think that that was gonna happen, but,
Who, Pathways Engineer?
yeah. They may be out of here, there's just some finished stuff that will need to be done. And then I just wanted to mention, because we ran into him, Peter, Consola. I forgot to put him on the agenda tonight, but he did send me an email and I put it in there. And he is concerned with the drainage, at his property on 153 Westminster Road, it's across from Hidden Springs. He's had a problem, it's really, there's a lot of water on that property. He would really like to see a new culvert a bigger size culvert put under the, Westminster Road. I've talked to Brian about it, it's on Brian's list to go sit and talk with him, he just hasn't had time. I don't, the immediate reaction from Brian was, the bigger culvert's not gonna
Exactly.
help,
But would
but.
it be replacing the one that's currently there?
I think that's the suggestion, but I want him to go out there and meet with Peter and, discuss it with him and see if there's anything else that Brian can suggest. The water's coming from his it's
Yes.
like he
Yeah,
said,
that-
it's down.
that-
I don't know.
The building,
It's
I
gone
mean,
anyway.
it was
Yeah.
prior to its last renovation, I mean, the cellar was,
Wet.
water was running in the cellar. There was a well, that was really fed off of the spring. There was
You're talking about the brick one?
no, I'm talking about
You're talking about the cheese
Peter's
factory?
house, yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to
Your
have
council's
Brian
house,
talk to
The
him.
brick one, yeah.
Same scenario. Oh, yeah, well, yes, that's
I'll
got
try to
water
have
in it
Brian
as well.
take some time to talk to him before the next meeting and call him and apologize for not putting him on this agenda, but, let him know that we haven't forgotten about it, I just need to work Brian's schedule with it. So that wasn't really town manager report, but it was something that I put in the packet and I wanted you to know what it was. And I do not have a year-end report right now, the book's closed. Well, we're working on closing the books. We still have lingering invoices and things to do, but, so hopefully, the auditor's coming next week, I think, is next week the 11th? Yeah, so he's gonna be here the 11th, I think, and the 14th. He's gonna try to come 4 times this month because he wants to get it
Done.
as much done as he can before I leave, yeah. Yep.
All right.
And then the reason I put an executive session on here is I need to have a discussion with you guys about a highway, issue. Well, it's not really an issue, but it's something that Ryan wants taken care of. I don't know if you
Make a
do
motion
it or
that
not,
we
but
go
that's why.
into executive session.
Second?
Moved and seconded to go into executive session at 7:02.
Before you do that,
Yes, ma'am.
can you talk to me about getting paid?
Or do we want to have an executive session first and then talk about that, perhaps?
You don't have to as far as mine's gonna be quick, so if you wanna take care of that. Unless you wanna talk to her in executive session.
Or talk about it in executive,
Oh.
talk about other things in executive session that would influence that decision. I don't know what your feeling is.
And I will ask actually the same question I asked Cynthia earlier today. I said, in the assistant treasurer position, in the past, how did we pay who was the assistant treasurer
You
and how did
didn't
we pay
pay.
them? We did not. Was my, right, okay. I'm just trying to clarify.
And for assistant clerk, I mean, are you currently fulfilling the role more of clerk or of treasurer or
Clerk, like I said
Okay.
today, getting ready for that BCA meeting next week.
acting as the clerk?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna take advantage of you,
Right.
you know, but I don't think I wanna do it out of the goodness of my heart.
No,
I understand.
no, and I don't think we would expect you to for any sort of duration. I guess I would ask that maybe we have executive session and then we'll talk a little more. Is that fair?
I'll be here.
Okay.
Could I also make a comment about the executive session as it's set out on the agenda? The appointment of or evaluation of public officials. I think if you read that section of the statute that is cited on your agenda, it's referring to public officials that this board would have the legal authority to hire or fire. I think if you're having executive sessions to discuss public officials who aren't under your jurisdiction that way, over whom you have neither hiring nor firing authority, then you're misusing the executive session.
Well, I believe we're discussing a highway matter.
That was
The reason I put it on there was for a highway employee. I didn't put it on there for anything else. Because honestly, I don't even want to be in an executive session when we're talking about anything else.
Right, no, and I hear your point, Fletcher. I'm not sure I agree with you, but
But there's no question here that any decisions would be made in open session.
The question is whether you're having discussions that should be in open session as well.
I would argue that we're not, but I don't know. I mean, I would honestly have to seek counsel on that to know for sure. It's my instinct that no. I mean, I know you brought up that point before when we went into executive session that you should have been invited to that. Or that it shouldn't have been in an executive session. I would disagree. That was a personnel issue. You know, when there are personnel issues that have to be managed, then that is not for open session, in my opinion.
If it's personnel under your jurisdiction, I would agree with you.
Well, I think that personnel under our jurisdiction are influenced by the discussions we've been having in executive session. And so I would count them as one and the same. Again, I'm not missing your point. I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with you respectfully. And I would have to seek counsel to know for sure. Your interpretation of it is not the same as mine, but to me this reads that it's appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer, i.e. appointed or employee, provided that the public body make a final decision in public. I don't know. I'm not sure there's a right answer to that. I mean, I'm sure there's an opinion as to the right answer, but I guess I would leave that up to you.
Well, I would say we're going to continue with executive session as planned.
Okay.
The motion has been made, and we are going to executive session. Right
So-
now.
Vote on it?
We need to vote on it.
Yes, please.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Will there be a decision?
There may
Possibly,
be some
yeah, this- out
discussion,
of this,
so I
there'll
would,
be a-
yeah. Running. I will make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna make a note of that. Feel that.
7:46.
All right.
Make a motion that on the recommendation of Brian Harlow, we accept the proposal to promote Jason Newton to the position of Assistant Road Foreman.
All right, second.
All right, and moved in second to promote Jason Newton to the position of Assistant Road Foreman upon the recommendation of Brian Harlow, Putney Road Foreman. Any questions, additions to that? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I guess, did you recall the exact wording of that?
Yeah, we just want to make the statement that we have, that Denise Drummond, who was the newly elected clerk and treasurer as of town meeting day, took a voluntary leave of absence as of, I believe it was May 26th. I don't have
Yes.
that
26th,
date in front of me.
It was the day after that BCA meeting, so I would have to. I don't have that.
26.
That was
26th.
26th, yeah.
And we have asked her to clarify her intentions as to whether she intends to return to her position. But we don't know the result of that at this point. And we also had a discussion with Anita in which we agreed that we would work together with her to come up with a reasonable payment for time that she works in the interim. We are hopeful for Anita's sake that this doesn't have to be in minutes. We're hopeful
Okay,
for
so
Anita's
what am I
sake.
writing?
Yeah, come on, quick.
I got lost at discussion with Anita, too.
To agree that she will get compensation for her hours of work put in. But we are all hopeful that there is a sort of larger resolution to running the clerk's office coming, and we'll see what that is.
I would just add our thanks for stepping up and continuing in this
Yes.
capacity in these difficult times.
When did you come up with a compensation? So like, what are we?
We do
No,
Okay.
Anita is going to keep a reasonable record of the hours she
Okay,
puts
then
in.
you guys will figure it
And we're gonna extrapolate, and
Okay.
then we agreed that we would have come to an agreement.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure when we don't run a paycheck this week that we're doing something.
I think you're okay with that, right? That you won't have a
It'll
paycheck this
catch
week?
up when they. Is that what your understanding is? Okay. Because I know when Laura goes to do payroll tomorrow, she's gonna ask me that question. So, okay.
Right. All right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.